Hey there, and welcome to the People Who Help People podcast. This is the spot for HR and people ops pros who are all about building better businesses by putting people first. We chat with founders and experts who've been there, done that, and are generous enough to share what actually works. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hello again. Today I'm happy to be speaking with Kaylee Swett, Head of Payroll Services at Clarity Strategic Partners, about making peace with imperfect progress as part of a managed service partnership. Kaylee is Giant Certified Leadership and Development Coach. She's been in HR and payroll for a decade, and she leads the Oklahoma City women's network called Rising Collective that empowers and equips women to pursue their passion with helpful tools and resources. She's currently head of payroll for Clarity Strategic Partners, where they partner with companies to improve and streamline processes to ensure success for their employees and team. Welcome, Kaylee.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's a delight to have you today. Kaylee, as we were talking before the podcast, you mentioned that you're very passionate about leadership development, leadership coaching. Tell me about that. How'd you become a Giant Certified Leadership and Development Coach, and what does that mean for those who aren't familiar with the term?
Yeah, well, I almost stumbled my way into it, it seems. I was at a newer company here in the city, and they were really passionate about development and growth. And so they actually invested in us and they hired a giant coach to come in and work with the leadership team to go through that. Since I found myself being the director of human resources at the time, I found myself in a front seat to be able to be coached and to work through that. And so after a couple of weeks of working with this coach, he said, "Hey, I kind of think you have a knack for this. It seems like you're really passionate about it. You speak the language naturally and you're really running with it. I really want to encourage you to become certified yourself." And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think I would really love that. I could definitely see myself, wanting to be a people leader in that way." Culture matters. Culture definitely matters, and I think that the at the heart of a culture and the success of it are people and their growth and their development. And so from there, I started doing the certification. He walked me through that. It took me a few months to do that because it was on top of already my regular workload, and so I was able to do that. I received my certification through Giant. And then from there, he said, "Hey, like you can implement this within your organization and then you can start to grow beyond that." And so that's just what I've done. I've started to work with that. I work with clients through team building, whether it's a small team. I do one-on-one training as well. And then we also do seminars as needed.
Well, how long have you been a certified coach?
Gosh, I have been a certified coach, I believe, since 2023, I think is when I finished my certification, but I was introduced to Giant in early 2022.
And you said you used it both within the teams that you lead, and then you engage with others to help them with their teams.
I do, yeah. So oftentimes the conversation that I have where people, in fact, just this past weekend, someone came up and said, "I need your help." She was a hiring manager. She does a lot of recruiting and she's constantly filling different positions. But she said, one thing that I'm really finding is that our culture is just really every man for themselves, is her terminology that she used. And she said, "I'm just really looking to get everyone engaged in more of a team atmosphere, a team mindset of it can't just be I'm out for myself. As long as I'm paid, as long as my job's done, I'm good. I really need people to come on board and care about, if I start well, then I have to finish well and I need to make sure that this is prepared for the next person and so forth." And she said, I don't know what to do. And so she said, "I had heard that you do some coaching and some development. Do you think that you could help us?" So I was like, "Absolutely." And so what my natural process is of course to ask how many people are on your team, what does that look like, what's your idea, do you want to come in and do like a team building where maybe it's a lunch and learn, do you want to meet regularly, is this a one-time thing? So we go through some, just a discovery call, if you will, and then from there we start to dig into the team dynamic. Who's responsible? Or is there one manager? Is there two? What's the hierarchy look like? And then what does a team success look like for you? What does your ultimate, the highest possible good for them and what this team dynamic looks like? What are we trying to reach? And then we kind of work backwards from there. And so we have some discussions in the work for that of what that's going to look like. I think it's going to be a lunch and learn. But then what I do is I go to Giant, which we have a toolkit, and I assemble a toolkit based off of that. We do have everyone in the team building process. They would take the 5 voices. It's kind of just an easy assessment that people take to say, hey, this is kind of their work approach, their behavior, if you will. There's 5 different voices. And so then it allows us to kind of say, hey, this is how you naturally approach it. Maybe you're a little bit more direct and you're a guardian. Maybe you're a little bit more people oriented and you're a connector. But then we're able to acknowledge who is what, where they fit. And then we're able to show this is the part that you play within the team. Here's what you bring. Here's your strength that you bring to the team. Now, here, let's make it better. And here, how do we actually make that cohesive where we all can partner together? And so that's kind of just a very broad overview of what we would do, but that's a really good example of what's upcoming.
So you've got a toolkit provided by Giant,
I do.
but you tailor that to
Mhm.
each situation, each team. And I also like how you've got different delivery mechanisms. It can be a lunch and learn, as you said, or it can be something more extended. I think you mentioned beforehand some rather big entities subscribe to the Giant method.
Yeah, Nike's used it, Amazon's used it. I live in Oklahoma. Oklahoma Highway Patrol uses it. So there's some great leadership. There's some great entities that subscribe to the Giant method. I'm sure you can think of a lot of different leadership and developers that are out there. John Maxwell, Myers-Briggs, Enneagram. There's a lot of them that are comparable in that way. The one thing that I really do like about Giant is it doesn't pigeonhole you into this one thing. So it doesn't give you a label and that's just it. It leaves room for growth, and it also shows that you are a complex person that's made up of different experiences. And so just because you are a connector doesn't mean that you can't also be a guardian. And it gives you the tools to be able to grow and develop into that. And it makes room for you being a complex person. It also pulls from a lot of different streams. So the 5 voices was built on top of the Myers-Briggs. So it just gives a higher level language so you don't have to remember all of these different acronyms for it. And it really makes it teams focused as well as behavioral focused instead of just your pattern, if you will.
When you were first describing it, Myers-Briggs came to mind. So I'm glad you added that it was built upon that. And yet it's, I think you said behaviors and what out focused?
It's
Behaviors and
Yeah, behaviors focused, and then just your it takes your behavior and it takes your personality, but it also is going to kind of dig in. So if I were working with you, Craig, and I was going to partner with you and I was going to meet with you every 2 weeks and we're going to do one-on-one coaching for your growth and development, and you're saying, hey, I feel like I'm at a director level position in a company, but I really want to make VP and I really want to go to that next level, but I know I have some things that I need to work through on my own. We would actually dig into who you are as a person, your environment that you grew up in, and we would start to do some personal inner work in that way. We don't go too deep, but we like to stop and look at, hey, are you a really direct communicator because maybe the environment that you grew up in was direct and that's the pressure that you had, but that's not necessarily who you are. So Giant really focuses on becoming a liberating leader. And liberation is just this: high support and high challenge. I think that you'd probably find in different organizations that you've worked in, maybe it feels like a dominating culture where it's high challenge. I know I have to show up and perform or I'm in trouble. Or maybe you've worked in an organization where it's like high support, but nobody ever, the metrics aren't there. We're not getting feedback. We're not seeing the growth and the improvement that we need to have. But I feel like everybody's nice. And so, really, what Giant is saying is we need to merge the two. And just as much as I champion you and I call out the things that you're doing great, is just as much as I'm going to challenge you and say, hey, I think that you can do better. And here's our mark of excellence. And here's how we need to go forth. And so it's really always encouraging everyone to fight for the highest possible good of others, including yourself.
I like that combination. And focus on the outcome. High support, high challenge, highest outcome for the individual and their growth as a leader or their growth as a member of a team.
That's right.
So it sounds like you have a second love, and that second love is empowering women for success. Can you tell us some more about that?
I do. I have the honor of leading a women's organization. It's a networking group here in the Oklahoma City metro area. It's called Rising Collective, and it simply is to empower others. I was really searching for a network here in the area so that I could get plugged in and really connect with others. And what I was finding is that most of the networking events that I was going to, it was just simply the exchange of a business card and moving on with a smile. I didn't feel like I was getting those genuine connections, but I also didn't feel like I was leaving equipped with something for my time. And so I kind of got to thinking, man, like, what is it missing? Where's that equipping piece? And through a conversation with a friend, she said, Kaylee, like, maybe you're the one that should start that. Maybe you should develop that. And so we're actually a year in. We just celebrated our 1 year anniversary with a women's summit. And we did just that. So we started meeting monthly with a focus. And we say that we are for women of passion. We don't want to say that we're strictly just for women that are entrepreneurs, because maybe you work a 9 to 5 job, but you just want to grow and develop and connect. Maybe you have a side project. Maybe you have an Etsy shop that you build hats, or you do a craft or something like that. Whatever that is, and whatever your passion is, we're for you and we want to equip you. So some examples that we've done is last year we had a CPA come, and they actually walked you through, hey, if you're a 1099 or if you have some extra income, here's some of the things that you should be doing that are going to help you for success when it comes to your tax season. Another thing is we had a nutritionist come in to work on different wellness plans on, hey, if you are a busy woman and you're working, maybe you have kids, you have a crazy hectic schedule, here are things that you can do for your best wellness in a hectic time. Another thing that we do is I always once a quarter do something Giant based. Giant teaches you to know yourself, to lead yourself. So the best way that you can grow, the best way that you can develop is knowing what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses and how do you work through that. And then we also do purpose mapping. So maybe you kind of have an idea. A really cool example that we had was the very first Rising we ever hosted. I did what I call purpose mapping. And we had a cosmetologist come, and she's been in the industry for 20 years, but she's always worked at a salon that she rented from. But it's always been her dream to start her own salon, and she was really afraid to take the leap. And so after the purpose mapping, she decided to just build a purpose map that if she was going to launch her own salon, what would that look like? And so really what we do is we take the end result. What's your big picture, the thing that you're working towards and that you want to achieve? And then we work backwards to figure out the steps that it takes so that you know where to start. And it's been a year since that. Well, it's been a little over a year since that meeting, and she is now in a salon. She's been there for a month now, and she attributes it to having the courage and the success and feeling like she actually was equipped with tools and the knowledge to know, here are my next steps. Here's my plan to be able to do this, and to have the courage to believe that she could do that.
Congratulations. So you saw a need.
Yeah.
You started a networking group. You just celebrated your first anniversary. And
Yeah.
not only have you had a series of valuable monthly meetings and quarterly tying in the Giant lessons and methodologies, approaches, etc., but you've got a success story from a woman who found her passion and pursued it. I think that's amazing. And I bet she has a instant community of supporters who are saying, you've got this, you can do this. And we don't always have that. We don't always have
Yeah.
the support that we need to pursue our passion. So kudos to you for building that network and helping it flourish as it's grown.
Thank you. Thank you. Community is valuable. We cannot do it alone. I think if you're growing a business, if you're trying to expand, if you're trying to scale, whatever that looks like, sitting in a room by yourself is typically not going to achieve that. But connecting with others just makes us stronger. I know I mentioned know yourself to lead yourself, but another principle in Giant is know others to lead others. I tell everybody, you are the CEO of your own life. Where are you going? You don't have to run a company. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to start something and to achieve it well, but you can do that for yourself. And when you're leading yourself well, others naturally want to follow, or they start to ask a question of, what are you doing differently? I want to see what's going on there, because maybe it inspires them to lead themselves in a better way. So community matters, being a part of conversations matter, because then it starts to spark that courage within you of, wait, I don't have to feel ready. Ready's not a feeling, but it's just simply a decision that I have to make, and I have to just take a step. And I might start messy, but I'm going to start, and then I'll figure it out from there.
I like everything you just said. Kaylee, you also have another, I mentioned you also work for Clarity. Yes?
We do. Clarity Strategic
Clarity
Partners.
Strategic Partners. Drawing on some of your professional success, tell me about your role at Clarity.
Yeah, so at Clarity, I'm the head of payroll. And essentially what it means is I come in as a third-party consultant. Clarity does a superb job at finding incredible organizations that are really growing, and they're looking to streamline efficiencies within payroll and the HR world. I primarily am an expert within Paycom. It's an HRIS system. It's kind of how I got my start into the HR and payroll world, if you will. And I became an expert in the system. And I care about people. I care about supporting the teams. I found I was really good to work behind the scenes and really make sure that they felt empowered and equipped to be able to accomplish their job. And so what happens with Clarity is they find the clients that want that support. And then on a day-to-day basis, I'm on calls with their HR team, with their payroll team. I'm assessing how they do things. Sometimes I'm the one doing that for them. Sometimes I'm just giving them the best practice tools to be able to achieve that. And we are accomplishing whatever projects that is, from performance reviews to maybe even changing payroll frequencies to implementing just new systems for personnel action forms, whatever that looks like. I'm just behind the scenes kind of holding their hand and partnering with them to make sure that it's smooth and efficient so that they can achieve the best success for their staff.
Kaylee, you're very humble. You said, I'm just behind the scenes. I'm guessing that you're a very, to the point of the name, a strategic partner. You are a strategic partner on helping them improve their payroll and payroll related processes. And I'm willing to bet you're quite good at it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we're very passionate about what we do. I always think of it when I show up to do my job when it comes to payroll. I always think this is the difference between someone making their rent versus not. The statistics on people living paycheck to paycheck is very high in America. I think it's about 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So it's critical that we get it right and we get it right the first time, because it could make the difference of if their utilities stay on, if their children are fed, if their medical bills are paid. So it's not just clicking buttons, but it's really empowering people to live their best lives and making sure that they can take care of their families.
I know exactly what you're saying. Multiple points in my career, I've had responsibility for payroll operations, and I always bow down to our payroll professionals for the work that they do. It's underappreciated, except when there's that occasional challenge, but then we just fix it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So a title for our podcast was Making Peace with Imperfect Progress. And this next piece, you can take it anywhere you want.
Okay.
So when you think about making peace with imperfect progress, we talked about leadership coaching. We talked about a women's network and empowering women to succeed. And we talked about payroll processes. Where would you like to talk about that theme of making peace with imperfect progress, knowing that our audience is the people who help people?
People who help people and making peace with imperfect progress.
And I only mention that. The folks listening to this are service providers, are coaches, are involved in helping others succeed in people-related challenges.
You know, what I hear when I hear the statement, making peace with you said imperfect progress, is that correct? What I think of naturally is grace. And I think giving yourself grace, because challenges are going to come. I think that you know just as well as I do that when people are involved, there's probably going to be a problem around the corner. And sometimes that's just simply because of the unknown factor that can come up. Somebody can call in sick, someone can forget to punch in and out. Maybe someone has an accident, they're not able to show up to work. So there's a lot of different variables that can come into play, as well as people leading people also means that you're dealing with more than just a job. You're not just trying to meet a metric, but you're trying to support them so that they can grow and develop and reach their highest possible good. And I think that the thing I have to remind myself always is, okay, well, I had a checklist today and I got, 8 out of the 10 things checked off. I'm kind of upset about the 2 that I missed because now that's going on to my tomorrow's to-do list. But sometimes I just have to celebrate the fact that I got 80% done. That's still great. I still achieved something. And maybe today my best was 80%, but maybe tomorrow will be 100. And so I just naturally hear the word grace and just reminding ourselves that we can have expectations and we can approach every day with excellence. We can approach everything that we do with the best of our abilities, but just reminding ourselves that we don't have to be perfect and we don't have to have 100% batting average, but shooting for that is really going to be the marker of success, and seeing what are we accomplishing over time and not just in this moment. I think perspective matters. And I think that most of the time, perspective is our reality. What you see and what you're looking for is going to determine how you approach it. Maybe I have a client that I'm working with and their payroll's due, and the finance team says, oh, yeah, by the way, everybody's getting a pay raise. Here's the merit increases. And we're thinking, we should have had this 2 weeks ago. What do you mean? My perspective can be, my gosh, how am I going to get this in on top of everything I already have to do? Or the perspective can be, I have an opportunity to rise to the occasion and to knock this out of the park, even though it was unexpected. And so I think that that really matters because I need to be committed to the big picture instead of the small details that we could get tripped up over.
Using grace with ourselves, with others throughout the day will help us realize both what we've achieved and how we've made a positive impact with others. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to flip something around on you.
Okay.
What's on your purpose map?
Ooh, okay. My purpose map. So I have a few things. Obviously, I have a few irons in the fire. I stay very busy, of course. My purpose map is continuing to grow the network. I have some lofty goals of what I want to accomplish in the year of just growing the membership, as well as just staying consistent. I think that that's probably the one praise that we got from a lot of our members that meant the most to me is, wow, you guys are so consistent with us. Consistent through providing information, consistent through just showing up, even just through our social media, of staying a constant engaged presence has really been a big factor. So part of that purpose map is continuing to grow the network. And then a large thing that's probably highlighted with a lot of stars around it on my purpose map is growing myself in my coaching career. Leadership and development. I would love to partner with more organizations to come in and help their teams grow. I think that the most important role in an organization is the middle manager. And the reason why I think that that's the most important role is because you have your C levels, you have your executives that have the vision and they have where we're going as a company. And then you have your staff, and they're the ones that are really like boots on the ground trying to accomplish that. And you have the middle managers that are the connecting piece between the two. And I feel strongly about middle management and empowering them and making sure that they feel success, but also making sure that they have the tools to be able to lead up to their executives, but also to lead down with their team, and then sometimes even leading out with those that are around them on their same hierarchy level. And so I would love to see on my purpose map to be able to support more organizations and to help those middle managers really grow and thrive to reach their highest possible good.
Terrific. And what support do you need in accomplishing more of your purpose? We talked about the success that you enabled for someone else who now has their own salon.
Yeah.
What help do you need? Because you're so busy helping others.
That's such a good question. I think the help that I would need, next level, and this is how you always know you're at that stair step of a new level, is when you start to delegate and you start to delegate out some or even outsource some of your task. So probably delegating or bringing on maybe a social media or just some marketing to be able to have that additional support on top of everything that I'm already managing. It is pretty time consuming to do that. I'm sure you know all too well with the podcast, but marketing is time consuming. It also requires just a very strategic mind, a very creative solution to be able to have that brand voice and awareness and to also reach the right people. There's a lot of things that go into that. And so I think that the help that I would need is taking the plunge of delegating that out and partnering with somebody to expand that.
There's more there. I'm not going to let you get away with that easy answer.
Oh, you want more?
I want more. Next level. You talked about a stair step. That sounds like a little stair step. I want a big stair step.
Oh, you're talking about like next door. Honestly, probably just growing myself as a brand. I know that I show up day to day in a payroll and HR world and wearing that hat, but really committing time on my calendar and blocking that off so that I can be committed to that and taking that leap of faith to step into that a little bit more. I am sure that anyone listening knows that feeling where it's like leaving the comfort of this is my guaranteed and this is what I know that's coming, and then that in between of the leap of faith of, okay, now I'm truly putting more eggs into this basket and stepping out to do this more consistently and making sure that I allocate the time for that. That's probably on there as well. I just don't like to talk about it or even think about it. Let's just ignore it.
Why not? I heard there's this great network that empowers women in Oklahoma City, And I think that somebody needs to do a case study or stand up and say, "Hi, I'm Kaylee, and I'm looking to make the next step," or
Yeah.
go to the next door.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
all
think
right,
you're
Kaylee,
right.
I will stop making you feel uncomfortable with these challenging questions. But it
That's
sounds
a
like
good
you're
one.
so busy, and so effective helping others. Don't forget to take the time to help yourself. And I appreciate you sharing some of the perspective, both in how you help others, but also in the help that you need. And I hope that somebody who's listening to this took away, ooh, that's something that I can use, or ooh, that's something I need to do more of, or gosh, I would like to be part of a network like that. So if somebody would like to get in touch with you and take advantage of the network you've built, perhaps find out more about Giant Coaching, or perhaps be your next client, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways that you can get in touch with me. One is LinkedIn. If you are a professional organization and you're looking to grow, you want some coaching, you want some, maybe you want to schedule a lunch and learn, whatever that looks like, you can find me on LinkedIn. I am under Kaylee Swett. And of course, I know some of my information is going to pop up below for you guys. As well as if you are in the Oklahoma area and you want to be encouraged and you want to become a part of the women's network that I lead, it's called Rising Collective. And on our socials, it's risingco.ok. All of our information's there. If you follow along, we're consistently posting from previous events, inspiring information, and we have all of our predefined dates there, as well as you can find all of our links for the website and anything else that's upcoming. So risingco.ok, and then LinkedIn for any professional inquiries as well.
Terrific. Kaylee, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I think that the network that you started sounds very powerful. And congratulations on making it to 1 year, and I bet it'll make it to many more. I hope that you find partners within the organization that to whom you can delegate or share some of those responsibilities with,
That's right.
because it sounds like you've taken on a lot, but you're achieving a lot, and it's inspiring to hear. All right,
Well, thank you
thank you.
so much. I really appreciate your time, Craig, and I love what you're doing, influencing people leaders, people that are growing, and I can't wait to see where you go.
Terrific. Well, thank you, Kaylee, and we're going to sign off.
Okay.